many people buy sports cars so that they can have something fun to drive around on the weekends. However, the daily commute can be, a bit boring. So what you want is something that can do both, something you can drive and have fun with on the weekends, and also something that works every day. So, today's video features 9 interesting sports cars at a variety of price points which will work as daily drivers and sports cars. So let's get into it. Toyota MR2. The third generation of Toyota MR2 is the last iteration of Toyota's famous mid-engine sports car. And for £3,000, you're pretty spoiled for choice with this car. This thing's mid-engined, it's fantastic. It handles so nicely, and it has 2 boots, or 2 trunks, if you like, for storing stuff. And that makes it a pretty good daily driver. And it's very economical too, it's only a 1.8, and it's going to be nice and easy and cheap to run. This is a Toyota after all. I think it's a fantastic buy. Mazda MX5 NC. Now, I've said before that the Mazda MX5 isn't a very good daily. Okay, I apologise. But I think this one might be a pretty good daily. It's bigger, it's softer, it's actually a lot more powerful than the NA or MB. It's actually a pretty good buy. These are very cheap now, so I would buy one now. I think these have a larger boot or trunk than the other MX5s. And actually they are pretty tunable, they are still rear-wheel drive, and sure, they don't look the best, but it's still a pretty good car. Mitsubishi FTO. Now, okay, this is a bit of a weird choice. Now, I know I could have got some other car here, but this is awesome. I love this car. This is so underrated. Its 2-litre MIVEC V6 produces 200 horsepower, the most powerful so far, and you get it in a weird JDM package that will certainly surprise people when you pull up. It still handles super nice, and it kind of looks a bit like a baby Supra if you squint and stand about half a kilometre away. It could look like a Supra. And luckily, considering they're so underrated, they're super cheap. But there aren't that many of them in manual transmission. Audi TTS. Now, let me introduce you to one of the most powerful cars on the list, the Audi TTS. Basically, a Volkswagen Golf R coupe. It's 4-wheel drive, it's turbocharged, and has 70 more horsepower than the equivalent 2-litre TT. This car is the 2nd generation TT and the first one to bear the TTS name. This thing is pretty cool, actually. I love this car a lot. I think the TT is just super underrated. Super underrated. No one appreciates these, and I think more people will appreciate these now that they're out of production, which honestly is kind of sad. But luckily, the TTS has dropped in price and is cheap now. Subaru Impreza Turbo. The Impreza Turbo is a 90s legend, as piloted by Colin McRae in the World Rally Championship. This car was fantastic. 4-wheel drive, a turbocharged boxer 4, and this thing, it was a legend. In fact, every teenager in the 90s wanted one of these. This was pretty much perfect as a daily. Sure, it's not really a sports car. It's got 4 doors. It's the only car with 4 doors on the list, but it's a sports car in its own right, and it's perfect as a daily as it's 4-wheel drive and has seating for 5. It could get 30 miles per gallon at a stretch, and it's on the up in terms of prices. Toyota GT86. The Toyota GT86 was introduced as an affordable, usable sort of sports car. It was rear-wheel drive and only cost £30,000, which was actually pretty affordable back then. This has always been an affordable sports car and is a pretty good car if you want to make a drift car, race car, or potentially even a rally car. This thing has a Subaru Boxer engine, so it's got plenty of performance upgrades. In fact, you can even get turbo kits for this. and it's a very usable car, very cheap to insure, it's not bad on fuel, and it's got a pretty decent boot, so it's actually a pretty good choice if you want a good daily driver. But they are kind of expensive. Porsche Cayman. The Porsche Cayman is the Porsche's sort of entry-level car, just below the 911. Actually, to be honest, it's more mid-level, it's above the Boxster. This car's mid-engined, so it's got 2 boots or trunks, so it's actually a lot more usable than the 911. It's also got the 2.7 litre engine, which is a lot smaller and should get 30 miles to the gallon to push. Now the cool thing about this car is it's a Porsche for less than £10,000, and that should certainly impress a lot of people. I mean, sure, it's not a 911, but still, this car is actually a pretty good car, and it drives very, very nicely. And this thing is a very cool car. In fact, it's amazing that you can get them this cheap. Nissan 200SX. Now, for this price range, there are faster cars, yes, there are more powerful cars, and there are cars which handle better, but this is just the perfect daily driver. Nissan built this and nailed it. I'm amazed it went out of production nearly 20 years ago. This thing is an absolute marvel of engineering. I love this car. It's rear-wheel drive, it's got a turbo, a usable boost, it's a hatchback, and it's not going to be bad on fuel considering it's only a 1.8. However, the problem with these is a lot of them have been turned into drift cars and race cars, so finding a stock one is not going to be easy. However, I did find a stock one. Just please don't modify it. So for the price of a brand new Polo, all these cars are tantalising options which should work pretty well as daily drivers and should all be very reliable if you keep up the maintenance. However, if you do, you'll have a car which works as a weekend racer and a daily driver. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe for more in the future, and until next time, goodbye.